Hey everybody, excuse me. Hey everybody, it's Coach Jessica and it is Tuesday and I wanted to come in with a short video just to check in and also encourage you. Obviously, if you have not listened to the live Zoom from Sunday, you need to always make sure you do that as soon as possible. It's always good to so that you're thinking the same way as the rest of the group is thinking and you're focused on the same things that we are focused on together. It helps with support, it helps with mindset. um, but I want to talk about something that I've mentioned in the past that is so incredibly important. So excuse me, on Sunday Zoom we talked about again the importance of knowing whether your actions are driven by compulsion or driven by emotion. And we're really focused on that this week, taking a look at your own actions, your own food behaviors, and identifying whether they are driven by emotion or compulsion. And we'll talk more about that next week. But right now, you're just looking at, is this emotional? Is it compulsive? And based on some of your posts, I can see that you're doing some work around that. But here's the important thing, and this is what I want to talk about just for a few minutes today. Whether your actions are driven by an emotional state, an emotional need, or whether it is purely compulsive, meaning it's turned on by something external that has nothing to do with feelings, whatever is driving that desire to eat that's not for a nutritional need, there's still a lot of power on your part. And I think it's important when we start talking about compulsion and we start thinking about compulsion, it can feel overwhelming. When you realize I do a thing and I feel when that compulsion comes over me or when that emotional need comes on strong, I feel out of control. Or sometimes when it's compulsion, it feels like it happens so fast that you go from having the thought in your head to just doing the thing. And sometimes that's true. If you have always eaten at night or if you've always eaten in front of the TV, it does feel like all of a sudden you just sit down in front of the TV and the next thing you know, you've got food and you're chowing down on it. It doesn't feel like there's a thought process that happens because you have repeated that behavior so many times. Or if you're responding to sadness and it hasn't even hardly hit you that you feel sad and you've already got food in your mouth and you're pushing down that feeling of sadness, it doesn't feel like there is a thought process that happens, but there always is. And I wanted to remind you guys of this thought process. The thought process goes, there is something that triggers you, whether it's emotion or compulsion. There is a thought, an enemy thought that says you need to get food right now to deal with whatever it is. Whether it's an emotion or compulsion, there is a thought. And we're not digging into those specific thoughts right now. We're just telling you there is a thought. But here's the part that I want to talk about today, and that is agreement. In every single situation where you make the decision to go ahead and eat, you must agree with whatever thought that is in your head. Do you understand what that means? It means you do have some control here. Even though you have felt out of control, when there is a part that you play in it, you have control. And I think that is a very good feeling because even if I have eaten in front of the TV 100 times in the last 2 months, if I'm aware that that's an area where I'm vulnerable, and I understand that, yes, I'm going to have a compulsive thought saying, you need to eat, you need to eat, you need to eat, because compulsive thoughts tend to just repeat over and over and over and harass you. You still have to say, yes, I need to eat in order for your legs to get up and carry you to the refrigerator and open the door and get out food. There is a moment of agreement for every action because no thought all by itself can drive you to act. It takes you agreeing with that thought. And so I just want to put you back in the driver's seat. You know, so many times we feel like Ed is driving us around, especially with compulsive thoughts. And I'm not one of those people that's going to say, just sit with that thought when you feel that compulsive thought. I'm going to, in fact, tell you to acknowledge the thought and come out of agreement with it. And, you know, I mentioned this on Sunday's call, but authority is the thing that takes those thoughts captive. It's the thing that swings and acts at that stronghold that's attached to you. So when you come out of agreement, what does that look like? If I sit down in front of the TV and that compulsive thought is, go get something to eat, get a plate. You know, one of the things that I used to always eat in front of the TV was pepperoni and cheese or pork rinds. So I might get that compulsive thought, just go grab some pork rinds. Go, there are not many calories. Like this, right? There's a thought trail that's, it's okay, you can have more. You haven't had too much food today, blah, 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 blah. But I know I don't need that food. It is compulsion that's driving me. The very fact of sitting down in front of a TV leads to a compulsive thought. If I come out of agreement with it, it's not enough for me to just sit there, because that thought's just going to keep circling around and harassing me. In fact, it might even get louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until I feel like I need to act on it to get relief from the thought. But the reality is, I can capture that thought, come out of agreement with it. Not only am I not going to agree with it, I'm going to literally do the opposite and say, I'm not eating anything while I watch this. And whether you're announcing that to a person that you're watching with, or if you're just saying it out loud to yourself, you are coming out of agreement with that thought, and it shuts it down and it gets quiet in your head. And maybe you're someone who needs to say the reasons why you're coming out of agreement with it. You hear what you say. So if I'm saying, I'm not eating in front of the TV, maybe I need to list a bunch of reasons why. I know the only way I can overcome this compulsion long term is to stop doing that same thing. I've got to rewrite the script. Maybe that's what you say out loud. I know that I produce more insulin at nighttime, so I'm not eating at night. I'm done for the day. I've said things like, I've had plenty of food today. I don't need more food. The way that we begin to change compulsive behaviors is to rewrite that script. But the main thing is to come out of agreement, and it is in your hands. Ed does not get to run all over top of you unless you let him. The power of the enemy comes in convincing you to agree. If you don't agree, you're not going to act on it. So that puts some responsibility back on you. And that's why it's so important this week to really identify the different situations in your life where you tend to eat and you don't need to eat. And believe me, you don't need to eat if it's not a nutritional need. You don't need to eat because other people are eating. You don't need to eat because of a feeling you have. You don't need to eat because it's a certain time of day. You only need to eat because your body needs food. Any other time, you really need to explore and say, what is this about? And is it emotional? Is it compulsive? Because we're going to dig into some of the deeper stuff on how to get through those moments. But for right now, I want to empower you. And when we don't feel empowered, it's because we feel like Ed is driving us around. And that only happens if we literally hand him the wheel. We have to do that. You have authority, and you do that by speaking. You grab a hold, you capture that thought. You don't just try to sit with it and hope it goes away. You literally speak back over that and disagree with the thought that Ed has planted to try to get you to sabotage yourself. So again, as you think about this, as you're working through these things, think about, what is the moment that I agree with Ed? And a lot of times you'll find with compulsion, it's just that you are tired of sitting there and hearing that same thought. Like, he just repeats the same thing over and over again. Like, you should get some food, get some food, get some food. It doesn't feel right to sit here without food. Get food, get food, get food, get food. And you can see how that would be exhausting. Come out of agreement with him. Speak against it. The earlier in the process you capture it, the better, because then you will not be worn down from arguing back. at Ed in your head. Speak out loud. So anyway, hope everybody's having a great week so far. I love that you guys are posting, you're sharing your words. They're so compelling. Remember, use that word. Think about that. Have that word so in your heart that you don't even have to think about it. You wake up in the morning and you think, okay. So like I shared with you guys, my word is finish. So I wake up in the morning and I think about that word. I think about that word as I think about long-term stuff that I'm supposed to finish that I didn't finish the last 2 years. I think about that word as I make my to-do list. And I make sure that I make it realistic because I am a person who finishes things. And it just needs to be something that compels you through your day. And so make sure that that word is not just something that sounds good here in the group. You know, some of you guys have posted some amazing words, but you need to take it every single day and say, how am I going to apply this thing to my life today? I know Kim had posted her word was enough. And that just popped in my head. Lots of you guys had great words, but how do you use that in your life? Well, you wake up and you think, first thing, you know what? I am enough. I don't need food. I am loved enough. I am good enough. I am worthy enough. Without Ed, I don't need him. I am enough. Without Ed, I can handle life. I am enough. And then when temptation comes throughout the day, I've had enough of being overweight. I've had enough of being controlled by Ed. I've had enough, or even when you're eating and you get that impulse to go back and get more food and you know you're full. I've had enough. I've had enough calories. I've had enough food. I am nourished enough. I don't have to stuff myself full. So take that word and incorporate it into your first thoughts and into your thoughts throughout the day. Continue to do that. Anyway, so I just wanted to pop in and say hey to y'all because I like to stay connected. I'm here if you need me. Always willing to approach pretty much any subject that you can think of related to anything that I have knowledge of that might be affecting your path to freedom. So feel free to put those things out there, things you want to hear me talk about, whether it's nutrition, whether it's behavioral, whether it's mental, any of that stuff I'm willing to approach. So thank you guys, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.